Welcome to another episode of URC Rugby Chumps. What a weekend that just recently passed. Should we start it on a low note? Dara, how are you doing?
I'm, I'm, I, oh, for God's sake, I'm, I'm okay. I've recovered.
Just
I'm
okay.
more upset about the weather in Limerick because I can't see more than 10 meters in front of me at a time rather than the rugby.
You mean that's as far as the next set phase that Ireland could see? But
Okay,
anyway.
okay, Kirby, you got the joke out of it. Okay, you move on.
And Jacques, how are you doing?
Oh, God, of course, Arrow.
Much better now that I've seen Dora's face in sadness and he can't see me because he can't see that far. I apologize with your weather. Number
No.
three on the list now, I think they are.
I
Yeah,
So I'm
forgot that
fantastic.
I thought the world rankings didn't matter when we were top, but now that you are top,
he's only
they're
saying
the
that because the
biggest thing
Irish,
in the
the Irish
world.
go crazy about it. But anyway, I don't care about the world rankings. I just care about
Wait, just remember, the only time that Ireland can stay on top is if they don't play.
I thought we were top after we went down to Durban and beat you.
shots fired back. That was one game.
What are we talking
One
about?
game.
One game. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, okay, let's.
Let
But
continue. Please continue.
anyway, yeah. So I mean, it
Our
was a great weekend for rugby, depending on which side of the hemisphere you sit. Unless you're France, and I've seen some people go, no, but France won. The Northern Hemisphere won, but you play against another Northern Hemisphere team. But anyway,
Romania beat Tonga.
okay, there we go. Yay!
We're all Romanian. Romania, if Romania want me to be a fan, Romanian Rugby Union hit me up. Okay, I'm sure if I go back far enough, there's something Romania in my bloodline. So I'm claiming victory with that one because I'm 25% Welsh and I'm never going to be able to claim victory with them again. So Romania, you know,
at,
talking.
at least we had a South African at the Romanian Tonga game because if I'm not mistaken, I think Morne Ferreira was the referee there.
Does that count?
I
Make
know.
everything go out there and make everything about South Africa, huh? That's the strategy.
Number one.
But anyway, yeah, so we kind of spoke about it, but didn't we say last week, Jacques, that Ireland were only going to win if they played Stockdale,
That was correct. We did. It's
and
because
they
of
didn't play
him,
Stockdale. You see,
and they didn't do it.
yeah,
We tried.
I think
Yeah,
I think personally it's because I didn't go to the match. That's that's my personal
I thought that was because that
humble
was
opinion.
Leinster. I thought that was Leinster territory. That's you hated them, so you didn't want to go near.
Oh, don't even get me started about when I go up to New Zealand. Don't you? I've said it. I've said my piece inside the group chat. Don't make me talk about the type of the people that go to international games in Ireland. Please don't.
Well, you see, this is
all
what's
right.
so great about South Africa is no matter what corner of South Africa you're
Oh
sitting
God,
in,
how many games?
everybody who goes to a game is grateful. All right, but anyway, yeah. Listen, I'm going to say my piece. We won't hang on too much because we could see it upsets Dara quite a bit. My
Yeah, it
thing
does. It
is,
really does. Cheers, guys.
I I believe yes, there was a few penalties that should have gone to the All Blacks because the Irish were hanging around on the floor and disrupting the rucks a bit. I also don't like what Scott Barrett did off the ball. You are a captain and you are purposely slowing down penalties by walking into players, and you are meant to be the leader of the team. That is not your job. if you want to be an enforcer, you need to hand it over to someone else to do. I must say, James Lowe celebrating like he just won the World Cup after a 50-22 period again. Why you watch other teams? They got like high five, yeah, like a quick, like yeah, that's awesome. Not like trying to jeer up the crowd at that point, home or away. Um, I believe that was a bit premeditated, and the problem is with the All Blacks is if you do stuff like that and you premeditate like celebrations, they're going to come back and they're going to make sure you don't come back. And I think that is what happened. It almost looked like the All Blacks switched on to another level at that point. Um, it was a good game for part of the game, and then our favorite try scoring machine literally just put the nail in the coffin. Will Jordan with another try. That's one thing we can actually claim, Dara. He hardly scores against the Springboks, but he scores against the Irish.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, I might as well speak about this game because it was 5 days ago, so I've had the recovery phase after it. I thought, as I said to Kirby before we came on, the lineouts, there was no gap. And I was actually giving out about the Irish forward pack, not highlighting that to the referee. Someone like a Peter O'Mahony or a Rory Best or somebody you want in that situation to just be screaming, ref, ref, there's no gap. There's no, because there wasn't a gap in the line out. New Zealand stole 3 lineouts off us because there was no gap in the line out.
The problem is, sorry, you mentioned Peter O'Mahony. He only came on with 10 minutes left to spare. Like during that time, there were no points scored, but it was too little, too late in that regard.
Too late. He brought on Conor Murray as well, way too late. He brought on O'Mahony. He brought on most of the subs way too late. Bad decision making from Farrell there. Now I've heard there is some rumors that kind of Easterby is starting to make the kind of in-game decisions because he's taking over for 2025 with Farrell gone to the Lions. So he's kind of letting whoever made those decisions, it was bad. They shouldn't have brought on Murray so late. They shouldn't have brought O'Mahony on so late. They shouldn't have brought a couple of their players. Now, they were unfortunate with bringing on Tom O'Toole for him to get injured within 2 minutes and then have to bring Phelan back on. But the other decision I put back was Cian Healy being on the bench. Great servant to Irish rugby. Time to go. We're 3 years away from a World Cup. There's not a hope in hell he's making it there. Bring someone else new on. Because you're keeping Andrew Porter on the pitch for 72, 73 minutes, which at top level props should not be on the pitch for 72 or 73 minutes anymore. You should have someone to be able to bring on. I would rather have a young player get dominated in scrums than have Cian Healy stabilise a scrum. Because at least the young player is learning and progressing. Cian Healy is done. He's not able to last more than 15 minutes. That's no use to anyone. I thought some of the selections were bad. Most of the players were quite poor. I thought the forward pack, a lot of them struggled to get into the game effectively. I thought the scrum was quite good. Compared to the World Cup quarter-final, the scrum was quite good. I thought the backs were poor. A lot of them were. Too many handling errors. You know, Kieran Frawley came on and dropped the ball 3 times. You can't do that at test level. And I thought New Zealand were just more clinical than Ireland. They took their chances. They waited. They bided their time. Ireland had a 5-minute purple patch. Probably should have scored 2 tries, scored 1. But other than that, we were lethargic. We were poor. We couldn't get those phases moving. We couldn't get the quick offloads you usually associate with Ireland. So really, the only positives for me was the scrum was quite all right. Mac Hansen being back adds a different layer to the game, adds a new dimension. But it was just poor it was not the greatest quality game. New Zealand weren't outstanding by any regards, but they done enough. I thought Mackenzie was their biggest asset on the night, and Wallace Satiti was exceptional for a 21-year-old flanker. And
Do we know
Mackenzie
when?
really has. Mackenzie's put a lot of haters to bed with his two performances in our tour so far.
I've got two questions. Number one, which I don't expect you guys to know, is when are we expecting Blackadder to come back? Because Blackadder as well is a phenomenal flanker, and
Yeah,
then
I actually.
with DMAC going overseas, um, who's going to be the 10 cover? Are they going to go back to a Bowden 10 or
Yeah, well,
what?
Bodie was their cover 10
Mm.
against England, and he would have been their cover 10 on Friday if he wasn't injured. So obviously you have a couple of players you could play. I'm pretty sure Jordy Barrett could slot into that position as
But
well. Obviously,
he's going to Leinster.
he's yeah, but he's only going for 6 months, and there's not a
Yeah,
single international involving New Zealand on during the time that he's gone. So that doesn't affect. He's gone during the Six Nations, but New Zealand won't play a single test while he's in Leinster because he comes back in early June for the Rugby Championship. So they could slot Barrett in at 10. Either of the Barretts could slot in at 10. I'm not sure. There was rumours floating around there for a while. New Zealand might lift that ban, like Australia have lifted that ban. Skelton could have played on Saturday. They said they didn't play him because he was only in the camp for about 4 days, and they will play him against Wales, to my knowledge. So there's rumours that they might lift that ban. If they do, they get Mwanga back. They get Mackenzie. They keep Mackenzie. But if they don't, I think it will surely be one of the Barretts who's slot in.
yeah. But I mean, all right, cool. I mean, when you look at the stats, it was a pretty close game through and through. There are a few stats that went one way more than the other way, depending on how you look at it on defensive.
Penalties conceded. Penalties conceded. That's the big one. We give away,
Yeah,
I think, twice the amount of
there was
penalties
also
taken.
clean breaks, and everything like that. I mean, the possession was pretty close at 41-59 to All Blacks. Territory was 50-50. Kicking, yet again, you don't hear anybody hating on DMAC for missing kicks because, of course, they won. Not like Marnie Libbok if it was a Marnie miss. Lineouts, they both messed up. Penalties as well. Ireland was more clinical with their penalties and kicking in that regards. Scrums again went towards, but yeah, I'm not going to hold on to it because it is a bit of a what to go. Then for those of you who do listen to us and care, Kenya beat Uganda.
The
Woohoo!
Kenyans,
Like Africa.
the Kenyans are a great bunch of lads.
Yes.
Uh, yeah,
Then we go on to
that's the result for African rugby.
uh, then we go on to a bit of the shock result, which was Australia in the 85th minute taking
A
out
result that made
England.
us all very happy, and everybody across the world was up and cheering.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I
But
saw
to
some
say,
stuff.
I'll let you speak, Robbie. You can speak.
I saw some people getting upset that they moved Marcus Smith and they brought George Ford on and stuff like this. I'm sorry. I prefer George Ford over Marcus Smith. I still think Marcus Smith is so overrated. In fact, I still think he's looking for Curtly Orange from the last time he got stepped by Curtly. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a 5-try each. It's a 10-try game. It was actually, I will say, it was very exciting to watch the whole way through. Uh, Lineouts were a little bit iffy on the Australian side. Penalties, both were clinical when they got the penalty and went for poles. Scrums were a little bit iffy on either side. But I mean, again,
Yeah,
looking at the stats, it was pretty close all the way through. And I mean, like we were saying in the beginning, that that new guy that literally his first game ever of Union. He
Yeah,
hasn't even
Joseph
played.
Swalihi.
Yeah, Swahili.
Swahili.
He. It's got a little copy and then E. Um, wow, what a play! He actually makes me worried for the next time we have to face him because he is a dangerous player. They're already rating him as the next Israel Folau. Um, he looks like a player that can slot into anything in that back line. Maybe not 10. I don't know how he is with his boots, but he does look like he is a very versatile player. He doesn't look big, but when he goes into contact, you can see he's got some serious strength hidden inside of him.
Mm.
Yeah. Australia, Swalihi is the massive bonus. The offload for Tom Wright's try, I had to watch that back about 10 times to figure out how he's managed to get that to Tom Wright. Because he's like flicked it over and behind the tackler to get it to Tom Wright. It was ridiculous. But he's the main bonus to Australia. That guy has got about 7 arms that can offload. It's ridiculous.
I think his
Tom
fingers
Wright
are
is
extra.
Tom Wright is another one. I remember, was it towards an Australian? Australia got a penalty in the end. They were in their own 22 after receiving a kickoff, and they passed the ball back. They messed up whatever routine they had. The ball goes to Tom Wright, and he breaks through 4 people and gets halfway up the pitch. He is the craziest rugby player. He doesn't think, he just does. And when you don't even know what you're doing, the opposition can't know what you're doing, which is maybe the greatest mindset to have. And Tom Wright has that nailed to a T. But the Australian backs were brilliant. The forwards, Harry Wilson, before he went off, was exceptional. That guy could hit a boulder, scored a nice try, nice line he ran when McDermott passed it to him. He was just in. Fraser McWright made a good difference when he came in off the bench. Plus, you have to add Will Skelton to that forward pack. So that could be scary for Wales, Ireland, Scotland. On the
I
English
mean,
side, I thought,
yeah.
yeah, go on. No, you
I
can go on.
mean, we were saying it earlier. It looks like Joe Smith actually has the ball rolling in the right direction for Australia right now. It looks like Australia, from what we saw in the rugby championship to now in the autumn nations, looks different. I don't know if it's just they got a little bit more fire behind them now. Now realizing, you know what, next year is um the Lions tour. Now they have to step it up, and it looks like they have taken that step. But it's the same thing with the All Blacks as well. It wasn't a pretty
Yeah.
game, but it does look like in certain sections they have taken a step up from what we saw in the rugby championship.
Yeah, well, what I will say about Australia, I said on the podcast, like, if you go back and then come back, first of all, if they keep Joe Schmidt, they'll get results. I saw it with Ireland. That man, he rebuilds. He's the best rebuilder in world rugby. He'll get them results. The win they got in Argentina, I know they got hammered the next week, but the win they got in Argentina showed promise. They showed how they can win tight games, and they showed that again. But I think what they did well is profit off what England did badly. And I said this to you, Kirby, as well. For Kellaway's try, the intercept breakaway, whatever you call it, it's a mix of both. He picked it off the floor. The broadcaster showed a kind of overhead view, and you see all these backs lined up, kind of for an intricate move that they made, which ended up failing. I just turned around to the guy I was watching the match with and went, why would they were ahead by 3 points with 5 minutes to go. Why are you playing an intricate backs move? You pass it to your 12, you make a gain line carry, and you go from there. You play conservative rugby. England tried to be too expansive when ahead, and I think it was Ollie Lawrence dropped the ball straight into Kellaway's hands, and he ran away and scored a try. England then got handed a like a life buoy. Itoje scores a try, but then they dropped the ball from the restart,
And
and
Jorgensen scores.
Jorgensen scores, and that was another ridiculous try because the ball is chucked. I think it's at Swalihi again, and you think the guy's got his back turned. He's going to get hammered. And again, he flicks it somehow onto a runner. And then Fraser McWright the same. He's got his back turned. I thought he was going to get smashed. He flings it onto someone. And they make a break on the outside. And it was a bad read by Marcus Smith, actually. He came in on, was it Ikitau? It might have been Ikitau. I'm open to be wrong about it. Who flicks it onto Jorgensen and just has to run in. But I think the positives for England were Cunningham South was very good. He scored 2 tries, but he was good. He was a menace around the park again. I thought Smith made some good decisions. The second try for Ali Slightholme, he made a nice little grubber through. Smith makes some good decisions. But again, George Ford and Harry Ramsey came on and they were awful. For the second week in a row, the 2 halfbacks that came on were awful. They either need to. Now I think it comes to the case either you stick with your halfbacks that you start with, or you bring in new replacements, because I think Finn Smith of Northampton at 10 is a fantastic 10. I think he should get the nod to come on this weekend. And you've got a lot of 9s floating around England that could do a job. But yeah, Australia deserved win. That's a massive win for them. They're playing in Cardiff. They'll back themselves. Wales are low on confidence. If they can go and get a win there, regardless of what happens against Scotland and Ireland, that's a very successful Northern tour for them.
All right. Well, I mean, moving on. The next game was the battle of the Latinos. Italy versus Argentina. It was a little bit of back and forth until there was that Malia try, which is that typical saying that we always teach younger kids: play until the whistle. They literally dropped the ball and Italy stood still, and Malia was like, "Thank you, cheers."
Yeah, that was poor. And the second try, as I said to you, and then it was a bit of an anomaly. The ball just bounced everywhere, and then Birchenough just had to pick the ball up and touch it down. But what I will say, that's a really good result for Argentina, because they're missing quite a few names for that game. They didn't have his name's escaping me now, but
Matera.
They didn't have Chocobares, but they didn't have Matera. Thank you.
Yeah.
They didn't have Santiago Carreras. They didn't have Mateo Carreras. They're missing an array of names, big names. And, Italy gave them a good game for the first half, but Argentina just got the stranglehold of it in the second. And once they got the stranglehold, they never let it go. Sign of a good team. They didn't take the foot off the neck of Italy. They just kept going and going and going until the game was dead. Great result for Argentina and good performance.
No, it was. I mean, Italy looked like the new Italy that we've been expecting. We've seen them building up, and I think I heard someone on another podcast say they instead of playing like Benetton, they played like Zebra.
Yeah, well, I will say about Italy.
Yeah.
Italy, their scrum was way better in Six Nations than it was on Saturday. But I think the biggest positive for Italy was the hooker, Lucchesi. I think he won 3-4 turnovers, which is world-class flanker levels, and he's a hooker. So, he was really good again. But Italy, much like Ireland, they just kept dropping the ball. Every time they got intricate moves going, they kept dropping the ball. I think their 2 centres have had probably their worst games in an Italy shirt retrospectively between the 2 of them, which won't happen again. So I think it's not all doom and gloom for Italy, and they can make it up. They're playing Georgia this weekend, so that could be an interesting game. Italy will back themselves to beat Georgia. So
we'll get into that later after talking about all the games. Then we had France versus Japan, a 52-12. I don't think we need to hang on too much. The one play that did impress me in the loss was Tavita Tatafu.
Tata.
He literally said Tatafu to the try line like twice. The one got disallowed and the second one was a try.
Yeah. just all I'll say is France looked a lot more like themselves compared
France.
to what they did in
Mm.
the Six Nations. They looked a lot more like France. They looked a lot better. They kept onto the ball and they gauged Japan in kicking duels, which worked. So
Ramos
France,
also Ramos also looked very comfortable at 10. But he's also a
yeah,
utility. You can do 10, 12, or
he's a
15.
utility. But sure,
Yeah.
he was the 10 for Toulouse for pretty much an entire season while Ntamack was out. So
Is he meant to be coming back into the fray? Because I mean, Intermac and DuPont, like I said, part of the one of the reasons why DuPont's in that GOAT talk is Intermac. Just the
yeah,
partnership of the two of them. I mean, Ramos is also quite close in that discussion with DuPont because of Toulouse, but Intermac and the
I
DuPont.
think they're hosting the All Blacks at some point during this tour as well. So if they can have Ntamack back for that, I fancy I back France to beat them in Paris.
Yeah. Then we got the one game that we definitely need to discuss some stuff in, which is Wales losing to Fiji, and well done to Fiji for the first win against Wales
Yeah.
at
Ever.
the Principality. But I mean,
No,
let's
it's not the
first
first
talk.
ever. It's not the first ever, Jacques. They beat them in 2007 in the World Cup. It's the first in Cardiff.
Yeah, in the first one in
Oh
Cardiff.
yeah, you're right.
But I mean, we have some things to talk about. Like there was the yellow card for Rafael, which then stayed a yellow
Yeah,
card. But for me, he dived
that was
over
a
the
red.
ruck. That was
For
a
my
red.
mind, that's a red card. That's more a red card than
Rajaja,
Randrandra's. Although I think
which
Radradra was red as well. I know Willis is dipping, but he hasn't made an attempt to wrap. He's just shouldered him in the head.
the thing is,
So
he came in, shouldered him in the head. But if you look at it, that guy's a tall guy. He's not a short little guy, and he has come down to a point. But what you call it? What's his name?
Winnish has dipped as well.
Has dipped from the
Winnish and Winnish
catch.
dipped as well.
And they're like, oh, he came in from a
But
distance. What do you expect a wing to do? He's not going to go, oh, let me jog it in
but
and
my
give him
my
a hug.
my thing was that my case for Radradra being sent off was he didn't wrap, and if you don't wrap in a rugby tackle, you do
Bundy
make a
Aki,
case.
Corn
I'm
Yeah, but
just
Bradley,
he,
saying if
but
it's
Bandi
high,
Saga.
Aki,
if it's a
Bandi
high
Aki,
tackle, if it's
Bandi
a high
Aki is the
tackle,
best stop. If Bandi Aki is the best rugby player in the world, he's allowed to not rap. Okay?
who has ever said Bundyaki is the best rugby player in the world?
I'm just
Irish
saying.
media.
No, 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 no. No Irish person has ever said Bundyaki. He's a great player. No one's ever said he's the best in the world.
But
But
then there's Corin
Mike,
Better,
I'm
there's
just saying.
Umaga.
I don't. I think you'll agree with me as a ref, former ref. If you make a high tackle and you do not wrap, it looks worse. It
I
always
agree.
looks worse if you do not wrap your arms, and that always gives a higher case for a referee to send the player off. But Reckless one was also a red card because he has flown in off his feet to make an illegal jackal and hit Randra. Was it Randrandra as well? I think it was semi
No,
Randrandra as
it
well.
wasn't. It was number 7. Who was number
Oh,
7?
it was
Salawa.
it was slower.
Yeah.
He has just came in and he's cleaned them out off his feet. It's a legal jackal. It was a red card. It was Reffel should have been sent off. I don't know how he wasn't. That was poor decision making. And to be honest, I think he'd be called back for that and probably suspended for this weekend.
I had a
But
look before before the us recording. I haven't seen anything regarding
yeah,
results
which is
or disciplinary hearings as of now.
yeah. But the issue in this game was Wales didn't take advantage for the 20 minutes that Fiji were down to 14. And what I'll say with Fiji, I don't think Fiji played unbelievable. Do you know, like how they beat Australia? You'd say ninth, every player on the pitch was 10 out of 10. Caleb Muntz was 10 out. Well, Caleb Muntz was 12 out of 10. And then you're looking through the rest of it, you're thinking sixes, sevens, eights.
No, Jog, did you watch
That's
the game?
the issue.
I didn't watch the entire game. I watched the last
Dude,
about
no,
20,
go
25 minutes.
Do
go
do.
watch the highlights and just see how Caleb
Caleb,
Muntz was literally he was cutting through them like he was a hot knife going through butter.
yeah.
But in that, but
I
in that,
said it. Yeah.
in
Go on.
that, in that, in that 25 minutes that I watched, I couldn't believe the way that the Welsh even got points on the board. I'm going to be dead honest.
Hmm.
I will love to watch the whole match, but they looked like a bunch of under 9 kids. I don't know. There was no
Yeah.
structure. There was nothing. It
I
But
think every
wasn't.
time.
But
here
what?
comes the thing. Here comes the thing. They went with the 6-2 split with
Yeah.
players that aren't utility players. And in fact,
And
when they made a substitution that apparently didn't even come up from upstairs, they just kind of ran on themselves. Costello
yeah,
on for Grady after 17 minutes. I thought maybe it was an injury replacement.
it
Um,
was Mason Grady had to go off injured. Yeah.
yeah, but
But
then Costello came on, and what the hell? You're putting a guy who hasn't played on the wing on the wing, but there's guys who could have played in the wing, or you could have moved your fullback into wing and then put what's his name guy that I like playing Ascom at 15, and
yeah,
yeah, but Murray's try, whoa, I will give it. That was I thought here we go. This is how the game's gonna go,
yeah, Blair
and all of
Murray,
a
Blair
sudden it
Murray
just
scored.
yeah.
But what I listened to on a podcast about this, and it's very, very true. Like you can make an honest mistake, right? With Costello coming on for Mason Grady, but
Own it
if
up.
yeah, it was not practiced during the week, clearly, if a winger got injured. Because if it was, Costello wouldn't have ran onto the pitch. Bevan, who was meant to come on, would have came on the pitch. Clearly, Wales didn't practice a scenario where one of their wingers got injured or their fullback got injured. So they just kind of had a bunch of headless chickens where one guy's just ran onto the pitch, not even intentionally ran onto the pitch. And that's where your issue lies. It's bad coaching. It's bad coaching from Gatland and his staff that they did not practice a scenario with a 6-2 split where the winger gets injured and you talk about who comes on and, who holds back.
It's the lack
Can
of
I
That's
ask a
where a lot
intelligence.
of
question?
Wales
Yeah,
fans, that's where a lot of
Jock,
Wales fans are angry.
Jock.
Okay, just a question. Just a question. Now, seeing by the looks and the sound of things, I'm not the smartest one here, right?
Clearly not, obviously.
But if you have to go back and take cricket for example, you get guys that can catch a ball straight forward, easy peasy, just drives it, catch it, no problem. Then you get international level guy that same shot, same thing, drops it. You're not allowed, you can't drop an easy catch like that on international level, not there.
Mm.
Club level, yes. Now, you go back to rugby. If you playing for your country, irrespective whether you're a scrum half, fly off center, wing, fullback, doesn't matter. If you are required to play center, even though you're a fullback, you have to be able to do that. Whether you practice it over the week, during the week, whatever it might be, you need to be in such a good shape that if needs be, you have to be able to play there. You don't need to know all the moves or whatever they
Just the
do. You
basics.
must you have to know the basics of what a wing should and should not do. For example, a left wing, he runs with the ball in his left hand, hands off with the right. Just basic left wing skills. So what happened now is this guy is probably not a wing. So now what needs to happen? He goes there and he makes a. I'm not allowed to say the language. Yeah, so he just makes a stuff up of
A
it,
boo boo.
and
He
then
makes a boo
boo
boo.
boo. And that is sometimes that could cause a whole team to make more boo boos because
But
that's where
Jacques,
the yeah.
what I will question you on is this is all fine in theory, and it's fine if Costello came on when 30 points up against someone. But when you've never played a position and you come on when you're losing and you're probably nervous, that is never going to go well.
And against someone who's very physical like Fiji.
And when you came
100%.
on, and I'm sure you and Jacques, if you watched that 25 minutes, you would have seen the disallowed try for Fiji where Tuisova just pushed Thomas
Yeah.
Williams over like he's a small child. That is the type of people you are dealing with when you come on against Fiji. And you've never played in that position, and their wingers could probably play as flankers. It's never going to go well. And you're
You have to
I'm not,
see.
and you know it's true. I know you're laughing, but it's true. Their
100%.
wingers could be flankers.
No, you have to say it vice versa. Their flankers could be wingers.
And
Because
their
all
flankers
those.
could be wingers. It's ridiculous.
The flying
Lavani
Because
Bhatia
Fijians.
can play about 7 positions. It's ridiculous.
Because if you look at normal test team, it goes like this, and then it goes a bit higher and goes down. Then you see the team. By the Fijians, you just see it here. All of them
See,
are the same length.
And just a few
like
heads taller for the locks and the fat guys for the
you
front
see,
row.
yeah, exactly. The national anthem of Fiji, they're all like this. They're all
Exactly.
they're as tall as each other. Maybe you have the props are a small bit smaller because in height,
And your
but the
scrum
rest of the
half,
team is the
so you
same.
can get down.
Yeah, but even the thing, it's the most Fiji thing ever, and it was the last play of the game. Wales had knocked the ball on. It was in the Fijian line, and Fiji, all they had to do was kick it out. Fiji tried to run it.
From
Fiji,
the
I
goal
was
line.
from their goal line in the last minute when they were winning only by 5. So if you give the ball away, it could be a try for Wales, you could lose it. Instead of kicking it out, they had to be tackled out, which is the most Fiji thing I have ever seen done by anyone. It's just brilliant. It's what you love to see. I know they're coming to the Aviva weekend after next. I want to see them, regardless of result. I just want to see them. They're so entertaining to watch. It's what you watch the sport for.
And that's what I think it was last week that me and Curbs were talking about it. If you see that team, I think this could be the first time that Fiji actually played like 80 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
If they can do that on a more regular basis and start playing against more tier one teams more often,
yeah,
within a year, 2 years maybe, you can see the exact same thing happen to Fiji, what happened to Argentina.
yeah. I think the Pacific Nations Cup has helped them as well because you
Oh
Well,
yes.
it could be the new Six
whatever about
Nations in the
playing
southern hemisphere.
yeah, whatever about playing more games against tier one. You need to just play more games. This is the
Yeah,
issue
yeah.
for a lot of tier one teams. Is they're just not playing. That Pacific Nations Cup means Fiji played 5 more games than what they would have,
But Super
and
Rugby could have
they're
also
playing.
helped them because
And
don't forget
Yeah,
Super Rugby has given them a massive advantage because now I know, like for some nations it didn't work. The Aguaras didn't work for Argentina because of travel. Fijian Drua works perfect for Fiji because now they have a lot of their players playing in the same country, and they're not. It's not like Argentina where they're flying across multiple time zones and multiple, going on 25-hour long flights and all this. Is so the Fijian Drua has really helped Fiji. I think playing more games has helped Fiji. And having for once a seemingly 10 that's just got a level head and isn't just going to whose objective isn't to kill somebody, which is what most of G-Intense has been in the past. Having a guy who's just class, I think those have meant Fiji can beat someone like Wales and can beat most tier one teams. I'd say maybe not South Africa, Ireland, New Zealand, but I think they could beat any of the rest of them. And even
France
then,
is
you
a
may
50-50.
France is a 50-50. I think Scotland is a 50-50. But I think really, really top Fijian performance could nick it against Scotland or
Mm.
France or Argentina.
Okay, I mean,
Or
we could be
maybe
talking about this.
Ireland.
We could be talking about this for hours and stuff like this, but I think we need to move on to the
Yeah.
last game, which was Scotland versus South Africa. As a Bok supporter, I will hereby apologize for the red card that you guys got, which I do believe
100%.
was a bit too harsh. Yes, it was a crock roll,
Agreed.
maybe yellow at max penalty, but not a red.
No,
And
not
then
at all.
also
No.
the fact that they scored a try, converted it, and then went back for something that was like 5 phases back for a knock on.
No one.
Yeah.
Well, it was like 20 meters backwards, or 40 meters backwards to go back. It was a bit.
Yeah.
I
It was a
said,
bit.
I was sitting
But
in the bar. I was sitting in the pub, and I was actually happy for the Scottish guys when they scored the try because I think it was a brilliant move. It was a fantastic try.
yeah.
Um, he converts it, and all of a sudden the TMO. And I'm thinking to myself, 3, 4 years ago, once that conversion has been taken, there's no going back.
Yeah.
And I know that they've got this TMO thing about, well, I think it's 2 phases or whatever. You've got 60 seconds from the try has been awarded till the kick has been taken to see, listen here, well, wait, there was a knock on. Why wait
Yeah.
after the conversion and then go back? For me, that's a no no. There, you just keep
Yeah.
quiet as a TMO. You keep quiet. Whoops, I missed it. You take the punch. You can take the heat afterwards. Then again, that's just me. Don't go through all the
Yeah.
effort, do the kick. Everybody runs back all the way past the halfway line, and then up. Now you must come back for the scrum because before the try was scored, there was a knock on. That's
Listen,
Yeah.
I will be honest. As a box supporter, I was like, yeah, but at the same time, I was like, ah. But I mean, there was that red card that was given. I was already feeling sour in that first half
yeah.
because it for me it looked like the blowing was all over the place and not the right call. Every call that was made, I was second guessing it. I was waiting for the replay so I could see what had
Mm.
happened to see if I agreed with it or not. I mean, yes, I do understand there was a few calls that, as a box supporter, I was like, come on, man, that was a cuck one. But he made a boo boo. But
That's
yeah,
the new slogan of the podcast.
he made a boo boo. um, so yeah, I do think there was a few calls that just made me question the first half. I think it was in the second half I actually started to enjoy it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
I do think Scotland did a fantastic job. I do think Finn Russell was maybe praised a bit too much because I also think he's overrated. Um, yes, he had that funny kick pass, but is that now they're trying to beat Marnie's no look kick pass in the World Cup? Uh, the thing is, he kicked a great. Okay, he got 5 out of 5, but it only ended up being 15 points. They couldn't get over the try line except for that one time
Yeah.
where there was a knock on. I do think we shouldn't flatter ourselves too much. It wasn't a great game. Um, However, our defense was part of the reason why the scoreline looks so
Yeah.
flattering. But yeah,
Well, I would say, as a neutral perspective, I thought Scotland were quite good. I think what has improved the Scottish side in the last 5 years is their physicality. When the 20
is
minutes
that
they
because
had
they
a
got
man on
South
the pitch,
Africans in the team?
uh, maybe. No, but I thought like the likes of Rory Darge, Jack Dempsey, these fellas really did stand up and played well. And they gave away one try only in the 20 minutes, and that was a really stupid try. That was kind of an anomaly where they, kind of knocked back. It ball's gone everywhere. The toys picked it up and ran to the line. Not saying there's
No,
anything
no, no,
wrong with
no.
the
You,
try.
you, you forgot you've forgotten Pimpy's try that cross field kick that
That
what
no,
you
that was
put.
before. That was before your man got sent off. That was before Cummings got sent off.
Oh, wasn't that
That
also in
was
the
only in
first
the
half?
third minute. But that was in the
Yeah,
third minute, I think, with him piece was Cummings got sent off in about 10. So
yeah.
the only try that was given during the red card period was not really a defense breaker, but a kind of you react first, then you're gone. I thought, as I said, Darge, Dempsey. I thought Hugh Jones was brilliant. I thought Tom Jordan for his first start for Scotland was unbelievable. I think he made something like 80 meters or something ridiculous with ball in hands. He was exceptional. As I said, Jones was very good. I thought
Can I
the
also
Scottish
just
second
say,
row was quite good. Yeah,
most overrated player on the field, Jordan
Duan
Hendrickson.
Vernemerwe.
No,
Oh.
Jordan Hendrickson.
oh, Jordan Henderson. Yes, I
He's
thought what
useless. Useless.
I thought
0 meters gained.
Scotland targeted him really well. I think was it Dard or Ewan Ashton kept put like before Hendrickson was to pick up the ball, they just ram it into the ruck. Hope that somebody's leg would hit Hendrickson, and it did 3 or 4 times, and he knocked it on because
Mm-hmm.
like,
But this is
they
what I
clearly
say
had it.
about him: is he's too
It's
slow
very and
and
it's too predictable.
he is too predictable. I'm sorry, like I don't know why I've never liked him. First of all, is his discipline, because before he became a Springbok, he had already picked up 2 yellow cards for tactics that he had done um prior. He's slow. I mean, you need someone quick. I don't know why Paul David hasn't been selected. He
Yeah,
is so quick. He is so strong. When his hands on this ball, there's hardly anything that's going to rip those balls out. Grant Williams was way better. I think we were way better on attack with Grant Williams playing at 9.
yeah. Well, I think why is Scotland played very well and played some good tactics. The
Except for
defense has
that,
won that game.
except for that one where they got timed out.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the by
but
the by the rack. Uh-huh.
Mm.
the Springboks defense has won that game. I thought the 7-1 split was okay, but I thought it was more individuals in that 7-1 split made the difference rather than the whole thing. Like Jatoy came on. Somebody needs to stop him. Like he's a cheat code. He's
No one
ridiculous.
can. The Malmesbury
No, but
missile.
he's ridiculous.
No
He's
one.
ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
He will
I
go and
thought
tackle a ghost on the field before you even know
he
there's a
would.
ghost on the field.
I thought Khaleesi came on and done his job quite well as well. But as I said to you, I thought the Scottish players got G'd up for 15 minutes after that bench came on. They really put it in, but then they got too tired. They brought on
Mm-hmm.
replacements that weren't as good as the guys that started, and
And we
they
have
just
to
faded away.
and we have to give credit to Easterbet.
Yeah, he was the only guy to stay on. Obviously, I see all the jokes during the week because you and Ashman picked him up and kind of threw him back.
That was a
A,
brilliant
a
tackle.
it was a brilliant tackle, and it's hard to do that test of it. But
Because he let him do it.
uh, come on now, come on now. The one thing I was saying as a neutral with with a Scottish person and a person who supported Scotland in the room with me, was why aren't South Africa bringing on Grant Williams? I think they took too long to bring on Grant Williams because Hendrickson was so poor. Obviously, I think they may have been holding him at just in case there was an injury, but I think they should have just put him on about 55 minutes. If there's an injury, bring Hendrickson back on, put him at 9, put Williams out wherever he needs to go if he needs to go out somewhere. But yeah, I think that kind of helped Scotland as well because, as you said, ruck ball was so slow, was so easy to stop. Plus, Scotland for about 15 minutes won about 5 turnovers or 4 turnovers. They just every time South Africa got the ball, they ripped it back. But yeah, hugely physical game. I think Scotland can take a lot. I think South Africa can take a lot from it as well. Whereas they didn't play at their best, had a very hard place to go against a very good Scottish side, and still won.
Oh, but I think we need to move on. It's getting nice and the next day.
Early.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna start on Friday with Ireland versus RG. It's 10 past 10 here, so I think that's 8 o'clock your time.
10 past 8. 10 past
Yeah,
8.
10 past 8. Yeah. Teams look pretty much the same as what they lined up with. Yet again, no Stockdale. So therefore,
Yeah,
Ireland's
our
going
only
to
change is
lose.
Ben Chopra.
They're not playing Stockdale. If they lose, it's because they didn't play Stockdale.
Uh, I think I think it'd be a tight game. I think Argentina
No,
gives a
well,
really good
yeah.
one. They're going to try and take the scalp, aren't they, of beating the top three in the world in the same year and Australia. That sounds really harsh, considering Australia have just beaten England. That's not a slight on Australia, by the way. It's just the
Mm.
fact that they would have beaten the top three in the world and also beaten Australia. But I think that Ireland will just have enough.
The thing is, I will say Ireland's going to win, but Ireland also has to be careful because that
No,
slow
definitely.
rolling away from the ruck, and you're going to come up against those RGs who will literally pick them up and throw them out.
Yeah. And plus, they will, as I said to you before, they have people that would scream and shout to the referee all day. Oh, he's on the wrong side. He's not rolling. He's not rolling. Julian Montoya, we've talked about his
Bertrand,
exploits before, and
Bertrand will keep,
Bertrand,
yeah.
and people will just keep pointing and they'll keep getting penalised for it.
Yeah.
My prediction is 20-all.
We're still waiting for that. When it finally happens, we'll
Death,
be like,
taxes, and Jock
yeah.
predicting a draw. The three certainties of life.
Yeah. All right, but then we move on. Japan's playing Uruguay. I think Japan's going to win. Spain versus Fiji. Fiji,
That'll be a
especially
good
with
game.
F.
That's a sold out game in Valladolid in Spain. Be a great occasion with Fiji. Fiji will beat Spain, surely.
Scotland is
Yeah.
playing against
Yeah.
Portugal as well.
Yeah,
Portugal, come on, Portugal, woohoo!
See.
Portugal. I'm going to watch that because Portugal are so exciting to watch. And I think like they'll give Scotland a run for about the first half and then Scotland will pull away.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we got the wonderful game of England versus Springboks.
Did you forget?
The box. I'm definitely going with the box. Are going to
Uh,
win. Marcus Smith is still going to be looking for whoever's ever on the wing. Um,
uh,
Jacques moving on
Yeah.
closely for that.
I
Yeah, so I'm
think I think South Africa will win, but I think England will make it close and somehow throw it away because that's
Mm.
the England way apparently.
the thing is,
Yeah.
who are they going to play? They're going to play Otoje because Otoje has a problem with Etzebeth, and Etzebeth always just whatever. Are they going to bring on Farrell as a mind game because they know how South Africans hate Farrell?
He can't play. He can't play. They have the
Okay.
rule that you can't play if you're abroad. Use that
Uh,
roster.
yes. Um,
Box
but the
by
thing is,
7.
now here's the thing. I haven't heard anything on Tom Curry and his
He's
incident.
out.
Is he
He's out.
out?
Failed the HIA. Failed the
He's out.
HIA against Australia, and he's
Tom
gone.
Curry. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's out, and that winger is out as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
shame.
Faye
So we
also.
can't
He
have
also failed
Bongi
the
shouting
HIA.
white side at him. And I'm saying it
Correct.
like that so I don't get flagged. Then we have the opening game of last year's World Cup ending off the Saturday
France, New
being
Zealand.
France New Zealand. I
I
think
actually
this
thought that was next weekend, so I haven't really made any. I'm gonna have to come up with something on the fly for that one because I
uh,
didn't expect that. I thought that was next weekend.
and the thing is with France not playing all their top players right now, I am definitely going to have to say it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to have to go with the All Blacks.
Yeah. All
I'm
Blacks 15.
I'm going to
I'm
go with
going
him.
France. I saw a lot more from France against. I know it was only Japan, but I saw a lot more from France than I did in the Six Nations. The punt back is a massive factor. Home crowd, they'll be up for it because
Listen,
The French actually have rugby people go to their games and not a bunch of mannequins who sit on their phones and talk about weddings, which is what I saw at multiple occasions at Aviva. A bunch of mannequins who don't care about the match. The French care about the match, so
let me
it'll
take a
actually be a good
selfie.
atmosphere. Oh, don't. But the French actually care. The fans that care go to their international matches. I think France will make it, especially if they can just get what they do best, which is just play rugby that even they can't predict what they're going to do next phase. They'll win.
Is Jacques taking a selfie that's going to put on the group like he always does during the week? Yes, he just did.
Wasn't
There
it?
he is.
It's not a selfie. Come on, guys. It's not a
Yeah.
selfie.
Okay.
We'll
It's a
leave it up
group
to the
shot.
viewer's imagination what it is.
It's a group
We'll
shot.
leave it up. We'll leave it up to
It's a
your guys'
group.
imagination.
Then we got Italy versus Georgia. I do think Italy's
Uh,
going to take it. Though Georgia is a very physical team as
Don't
well.
and
don't
Georgia
throw
will give
away
them.
Georgia.
Yeah, I'm
Georgia are
not.
going to give absolutely everything because
The,
they remember they challenged Wales to play them in Tbilisi and Wales wouldn't. So this is their best chance to kind of get eyes on them if they can beat Italy in Italy.
Listen, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not throwing Georgia away. Everything. They are very a strong side. A lot of their players play in the top 14 as well.
Yeah.
I just think when
There's
it comes
something
to
like
set pieces,
25 Georgian props across the top 14 in the pro day. There's about 25 or 24 Georgian props.
but I mean, in total, I do think Italy will pip the game, but
Yeah, I think
I'm
Italy
not.
have a lot to prove
You
after
can't.
last weekend.
But the thing is, you can't just turn off against Georgia. You have to stay turned on because if you give them a gap, they are going to take that gap. You
Yeah,
can't you
If
can't just think, oh, we're ahead. Let's take the foot off the accelerator. You need to keep the pressure on them and break down their set pieces.
yeah,
Italy is going to have to play a full on 80 minutes the way they played the first 30 minutes against Argentina for them to get over the line with Georgia, definitely.
yeah,
Because
Yeah,
Georgia is also one of those very, very unpredictable teams. Because if they show up on the day, we've seen it against Wales that 1 year, and
yeah.
that's
Well,
also Georgia's also one of the sides that's been picking up for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, same as Italy and Argentina and all that. So
they've
I
been
think
making a
it's
noise
good,
for the tier one games.
but what I'll
definitely.
say about Georgia is they have a really good head coach. They have Richard Cockrell, who's won 2 premierships and he's won a bunch of other accolades. He won a couple of things with Edinburgh. He got Edinburgh to a Challenge Cup final as well. So they've got a really competent coach to go along with some generational players like Ninyashvili is a generational player that they have. So I think Georgia will progress. And to be honest, I back Georgia to beat Wales right now, but not if. No, I'm not even joking. I think Georgia are very similar level to Fiji, and Fiji just beat Wales.
Hmm.
Mm,
But
I agree.
I think
And
Italy will
then
just pip them because Italy have a lot to prove now to themselves after what Argentina done in the final 30 minutes last week.
just
Yeah.
mentioning them, the final game is Wales versus Australia. The Dragons versus the Kangaroos, the Wallabies. That is going to be a
Uh,
game to watch because
that'll be
Wales has currently on a 10-game losing streak.
if
They
they lose to Australia, that's it. They're not going to beat South Africa, so that's a
the
full
thing
year of
is,
losses.
I've heard Gatlin's getting something like 600K a year, and to pay him
I
Yeah,
out
he's
saw
to
getting
that.
over 2
Mike
2 million
Phillips
to pay
called
him
him out.
out. Yes, Mike Phillips called him out, going 600K a year? Question mark.
And you can't even win
I,
a game. So
I saw that.
Yeah, even Jamie Roberts is questioning stuff right now. I think Jamie Roberts was a little bit more, how can I say, politically correct because he's also a broadcaster.
Mm.
yeah,
Um,
Sam Warburton was another guy who called out the structure
the thing is, why isn't
on
Sam
the
Warburton
British
in the
broadcast.
coaching setup? I mean, he's got that whole
Never been a better.
coaching.
There's never been a better jackler than Sam Warburton.
That's what I'm saying. He's
Never.
got that whole coaching stuff, which is actually quite interesting to watch and listen to, and how he breaks down the law with the breakdowns and everything like that. I mean,
Mm.
if I was a coach, I'd be like, hey, what's your price? But that isn't happening. That's what I want to know, especially someone who is a Welsh legend and you don't want to bring someone like that in. You look at what Argentina did with what's his name? Look, what's that guy's name again?
Felipe Cantapome.
No, Katsupani, the Ford's coach.
I was going to say Pico, but he's not forward.
I want to say Luba. Luba. I could be wrong.
Yeah, so we've
Loba.
got Paul O'Connell as our forwards coach.
Yeah, but Loba, like he was a Argentinian legend who's now coaching in the Argentinian setup.
Yeah, and we have a Paul O'Connell as our forwards coach, who's an Irish legend, who's in our setup.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, but
and you have an Irish coach. You have an Irish legend in your coaching setup.
Who?
Jerry Flannery.
Oh right, yes, I forgot about him. Ooh, that's another thing. That's gonna be. We're gonna have to talk about that at the end of this thing. What's happening with old? What's his name? Who just left the English squad now?
Felix Jones.
Felix Jones. And now there's people calling for Bartwick's head as well and saying that Jones must replace him because Jones has awesome international experience with the Springboks. So,
yeah.
Oh, look, another Irish won the World Cup. I'm giving you some credit there, all right, by saying that it's the Irishman that's won the World Cup.
Limerick, not Irishman, Limerick man. Jerry Flannery. Literally, he went to the same school as my parents, so he's not even an Irishman. He's a Limerick man. Limerick Kavanaugh.
How old is your parents?
Old enough.
I don't think you're going to want to answer. No, yeah, old enough. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh. But all right, guys. I think we need to call it. There's a lot more we could discuss, but the time is going on. There is going to be a bit of a crossover happening with the Black Feather podcast. Most likely Jacques and myself will go across there representing the Springboks while we chat to them, and we'll have one of them on our podcast talking about Wales, which hopefully...
And you only have to listen to this podcast because this podcast includes me.
Yes, we got the Irish point as well. But anyway, guys, thanks very much. Remember to like, share, and to subscribe, please. Just share it out. Let's grow the community. Awesome. We have some people lined up for coming onto the podcast. Some being ex-international players that have played for certain teams that the Springboks have beaten recently and have played for my team and a team up in Scotland. I'm busy organizing that. We've also hopefully going to
get... a team has played for South Africa and South Africa B. So, perfect.
Technically, Scotland is South Africa B. But anyway, yeah.
That's a joke.
He is. But anyway, guys, thanks very much. Enjoy. Keep well. My fellow champions, stay safe.
Cheers.